Hey everyone, this isn't going to be a roleplay or any kind of relaxing video. I know I promised one, but because of recent events that I'm sure you're all very aware of, I really feel compelled to make this video. I think it's really important. So I just want to, preface it by saying, sorry. I really want to just preface this by saying, this isn't going to be relaxing. This is going to be, I'm going to be talking about depression, basically. And I will be talking about suicide and all that kind of thing. So if you find that really difficult, switch off right now. Or, go look at kittens. Or something, Anyway. So, I really hope this video works and I don't have to re-record it again. I've made some notes, so if I keep glancing down, that's why. Okay, so Robin Williams, what legend. I am sure you have all heard, read, seen about the fact that this guy, this comedy legend, chose to take his own life, commit suicide. And on the face of it, I'm sure a lot of people are going, what a dick. But you have to remember, he has been battling addiction and mental health problems for a long time. It's really common, especially amongst creative people, comedians, all that kind of stuff. So, it's not... Depression doesn't care whether you have all of the money or no money, or... It doesn't matter. You could have the most perfect life, and if you're depressed, it doesn't matter, But yeah, anyway, a lot of people have been talking about his death and, writing about it and how it, or just talking about it and how it, and kind of relating about their own struggles with depression. And I saw this great bit of writing. I'm only going to quote, the first paragraph, and to me, it really spoke to me. And the title of this writing is called Death by Depression, which I think is a wonderfully apt title. But anyway, the first paragraph reads as follows. People die of depression all the time. We don't call it what it is, we call it suicide. But what it really is the terminal stage of depression. Now, not everyone with depression gets to this stage, but for a lot of people who are long-term depressives, there is always that fear. For me personally, when I first heard that Robin Williams had decided to end it all, I guess one of my first thoughts was, if it can happen to a guy like that, if depression can win against a guy like that, what if it wins against me? What if it beats me? And that last line about, that fear always being there, for me, that's true. I'm just to give you a bit of background about my own history of mental health. I've had depression probably since about the age of 15. It went right the way through constant major depression probably until I was about 21 or 22. actually probably even into 23, and then it turned into seasonal depression. So I only got depressed 6 months of the year instead. I still have seasonal depression, and in fact people who have major depression often also have seasonal depression. Unfortunately, I'm going through another depressive episode again. I am currently unable to get treatment for it for various reasons, but I'm working on that. But yeah, I've had my own colourful history with depression. I have thought about killing myself a few times, more than a few times, even quite recently, to be frank. I have gotten myself checked into a psychiatric ward twice for just, because I was feeling so desperate. I have made plans, I've written out plans, I have collected pills, the whole bit. So, I know what that feeling is like. And I can only imagine, how he must have been feeling. And you can have, when your brain is in that state, you can have all of the support and friends in the world, but you won't believe it. Because your brain is just lying to you, tells you lies and bullshit. That's what depression does. Your shitty lizard brain takes over and tells you lies constantly. And it's shit. We all find our way through it. Anyone who's had depression, and that's quite a few of us, it is so common, just mental health. If I remember rightly, it's either a third or a quarter, I think it's a quarter of us, particularly, the UK population, I guess the global population as a whole, a quarter, so that's 1 in 4 of us will suffer from mental health problems at some point in our lifetimes. It is so common, so common. But it's also really stigmatized. And many people don't speak out about it. Many people don't seek help. And they should, and we should, we shouldn't be ashamed of it. But because it's an invisible illness, for the most part, that of course there are physical manifestations, but the actual illness part itself is invisible. So because of that, a lot of people don't understand it. Especially if you have multiple layered mental health problems, as people often do. I had anxiety and PTSD on top of my depression for a long time, and still get, panic attacks and that kind of thing. Still, there are days, if I'm having a bad day and I hear a loud noise outside at night, I shit a brick. And, want to go and hide. I full on panic. I can't breathe, sweat, shakes, the whole bit. I start having classic panic attack. But I found a way through, sort of. Many of us will have developed our own tips and tricks, our own toolbox, our own tool bag full, to, cope with this and get through it. And I would like to share some of mine, and hopefully get people talking about it, hopefully, give you some ideas, if nothing else. And if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. There are a lot of people's coping mechanisms out there that don't work for me, so whatever. First of all, reach out, seek out help. Whether it's talking to your GP, talking to your friend, anybody you trust, reach out. If you're feeling desperate, call a hotline, talk to your doctor, talk to your friends. Having a support network in place of people you trust, even on the days where you think, man, everything they're saying is bullshit, but you're going to take that leap of faith on anyway. Like, you need people like that when you're going through these battles. And whether that's in person or online or, at the end of a phone to like Samaritans or National Suicide Hotline if you're in America, for example. You need people like that when you're going through any kind of mental health problem, any kind of addiction. You need people like that. I am so grateful for all the people in my life who, if I'm having a bad day and I'm just like, everything is shit, and everything, and I hate everything and I don't believe anything anybody's telling me, and people go, okay, but feelings aren't facts, and here is what's actually happening, here are some facts for you. And I still want to go, no, it's bullshit, but, sometimes you just got to make that leap of faith, and I'm very lucky that I have those people around me that I can make that leap of faith with, and I turn out to be right. And it's really helpful because they help to, when you're going into that kind of doomsday, everything is terrible, worst case scenario, doomsday spirals that your thoughts go into. It's really useful having people who, before you learn to do it yourself, it's really useful having people who will kind of step in and go and stop that spiral before it gets any worse. If you go through things like cognitive behavioural therapy, one of the things you learn to do is you learn to do that process yourself, basically. One of the other biggest things I found with depression, or coping with it anyway, is meditating. I've talked about meditation before and how I find it really helpful, but particularly Zen meditation, doing Zazen, is really helpful to me, particularly because of the anxiety that I get. I find it's a very useful tool, and it's a good management tool, if nothing else, and I found through doing that the anxiety attacks I do get, sorry, somebody's stirring upstairs. The anxiety attacks I do get when I meditate regularly aren't that bad. They're still unpleasant, but they're not like, really shit. What else was I going to say? I've had a brain blank. That happens sometimes. Yeah, getting out into the daylight. It's a really hard one, but does help. Even if you go outside for 5 minutes. I know that when you really can't even get out of bed, the idea of doing that just seems impossible. But if you can do it, and you feel up to doing that, do it. Get outside, get out some fresh air, daylight, whatever, Just the act of moving around and getting up can be incredibly helpful. Equally, don't forget to praise yourself and pat yourself on the back. Remember, you've got this debilitating demon sitting in your head. So when you do get out of bed, you can get up and you do get dressed and you actually make yourself a cup of tea, for the first time in days, remember to go, fuck yeah, I'm a badass for doing it. Sometimes this is the other thing, sometimes I find, getting proper tunnel vision almost, and just focusing on the smallest task in front of you and remembering to go, fuck yeah, I'm a badass when you do that task is really important. It's a really hard thing to learn because as anybody with depression knows, you just feel like a useless failure because you can't do normal everyday stuff, without even thinking about it. Everything is a battle. But that's exactly why you should go, fuck yeah, I'm a badass. When you accomplish these small little tasks. So, remember to give yourself a pat on the back. Stupid as it sounds, do it. Other things that are very helpful, of course, are various types of talking therapy. In the UK especially, you will probably be referred to things like cognitive behavioural therapy. There is also another type of therapy, I think dialectal behavioural therapy. It's called DBT. I think that's better for stuff like PTSD and things. I can't remember. I'm not a medical professional, so don't quote me on that. But anyway, there are different types of talking therapy. From proper Freudian psychotherapy to person-centered counselling to DBT, CBT, etc. Obviously, this will be limited. If you're going to the NHS, for example, you're kind of a bit limited sometimes. If you've got the money to go private, do it. But yeah, talking therapy is so helpful. For me, I don't think I would have made the progress that I've done without it. And I've done quite a bit of talking therapy. I've done 3 or 4 different, I've done it, about 3 or 4 times since I was 16. So, 9 years. Yeah, 9 years. I made a shit at maths. Yeah, so I've done it 4 times in 9 years for various reasons. And that's okay. Sometimes you will need to do it more than once. But it is really helpful. And, yeah, I can't recommend it enough, frankly. It doesn't work for everyone. But, it's a really useful tool. And I have always felt like a good counsellor, a good therapist will act like a mirror and will let you think out loud to them and they will they'll be the reflection back kind of thing. And for me that's incredibly helpful and allows me to see things I don't often see by myself. Of course there is also medication as well, which is an incredibly helpful tool. I think there is a bit of a boogeyman around taking medication. I don't think there should be. I think it's a really useful tool. Like anything, there are risks, of course, and I think if you go into it, I think if you do anything with informed consent, then you're onto a winner. But don't be afraid to take antidepressants, personally. You don't have to if you don't want to. If that's not a route for you, don't do it. But if it's something you feel would be helpful, totally do it. Now, there is the caveat that it might take you a few goes to find the right pills, but when you do, oh, it's magic. It's like your brain is... It's like... You know when... I mean, they're not, I say magic, they're not magic fixes, they're really not, but... The first time I took antidepressants, I think they were escitalopram, which I believe is Lexapro in America. I think something like that. Anyway, I was taking a combination of talking therapy, and it was just, it was, you know when you're depressed, you feel like you're wading through mud all the time. It was like, it was just like stepping out of the mud for the first time, and walking freely. It was magic. It was so good. I still had bad days, of course, but I guess the best way to describe antidepressants is they will give you a level playing field to work from, essentially, and that's all they do. They will just level out the playing field so that you can do the rest, basically. But they can often feel like magic because it's not until you take them that you realise how uneven the playing field is. You see what I mean? Hence why I kind of go, oh god. But it was, for the first time for me. 18-year-old me, non-functioning brain, to suddenly having a brain that worked. It was just like, it was crazy, it was mad. I loved it. Anyway, it makes me sound like I'm addicted to antidepressants. I'm not actually taking any at the moment, but there we go. Anyway, so, then there's other things as well, like exercise and that kind of thing. And yeah, there's all sorts of little things you can do, really. Also, I just want to sort of put in, learning to let go of the guilt and the shame of being depressed really helped me. And I know I've talked about this a bit in the SAD video I did, like a million years ago. But yeah, I'm rambling a bit, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you need to have a day in bed, have a day in bed. Fine, do it, don't feel bad about it. The more you feel bad about it, you get into this crappy cycle of feeling bad, and then you feel worse, and then you feel bad because you feel worse, and whatever. Stay in bed, own it, you'll get up when you're ready. And I find when I, try and frame it that way, I actually get out of bed a lot faster. Because I don't feel as bad. Okay, so my next sort of last little bit is, if you don't have depression yourself, but you have a friend, or it doesn't have to be depression, like if you don't really have any mental health problems, or whatever, but you know somebody who does, and I am willing to bet that you will know somebody who does. Things you can do to help is just be there, be a friend, be supportive. Don't try and just fix it. You don't have to give them advice. You don't have to, that's not your job. You just have to be there and listen to them and support them and encourage them to go and, do the coping things. You see what I mean? Don't be like, oh, you just pull your socks up or whatever, because that's just bullshit and it doesn't work, and it's just not how it works ever. It's just not that simple. And yeah, so just be a friend. And if somebody's having a bad day, or you think somebody's having a bad day, just text them, or, you know, talk to them and say, hey, how are you coping? Are you feeling okay? And then listening. And then going, yeah, man, that's really shit. Not, oh, well, you should do X, Y, and Z. You know, just go, fuck yeah, that's really shit. And just try and be there for him, really. You know, and if, like me, you get really anxious, you know, your friend gets really anxious, then you can be all like, hey man, do you want somebody to come with you to an appointment? Do you need some moral support? Or, you know, if someone's like, oh, you know, I'm trying to go out every day or whatever, you can be like, oh, hey, cool, well, do you want a buddy to do it with you if you're feeling a bit anxious about it? You know, just let them know that you're there for them and that you'll support them in any way that they need, basically. Obviously, make sure you take care of yourself as well, because people who have, you know, depression is hard enough for us. I am sure it is really hard. It's also hard for people around us, you know, our supporters and our cheerleaders and our, you know, caregivers. It's hard for them too. So if you are a caregiver or a supporter or a cheerleader, make sure you take care of yourself as well, because if you don't, then you can't really take care of or support other people very well. I really hope that makes sense. Anyway, well done again if you have made it through. I promise that is the end. I probably should have made this less rambly, but I didn't really plan this far ahead. Anyway, so I will post some, like, numbers and, like, you know, hotline numbers, suicide line numbers in the description for those who need it. I will post some links to websites and things as well. And yeah, I really hope that, you know, you found this helpful, you found this useful. I really hope if you are suffering from a mental health problem, that you reach out and you feel good enough to reach out. Please know that if anyone watching this is feeling really down and really sad, and you want to reach out, I spend most of my life on the internet, so get in touch. Leave me a message, leave me a comment, and I will sit and have a pity party with you. I will commiserate with you, whatever. If you want to feel shit about the world, I'll be right there with you, and I'll support you all the way. So, yeah, okay, well, I guess that's everything. I know I didn't really talk too much about Robin Williams. I wasn't really intending to, but he was a good starter for this. And but I am really gutted about him, to be honest. I watched Aladdin the other night, and I plan on watching Good Morning Vietnam another night because I love that film so hard. Yeah, Robin Williams, we salute you. You're a badass. Anyway, so that's it for real this time. So please, please, please take care, and I love you, no matter who you are, where you are. I love you, you're wonderful, and please know that somebody out there really cares about you. This random internet stranger really gives a fuck about you, so yeah. Anyway, take care guys. Bye bye.